It's another episode of Cageside. We're back. Not the most exciting weekend of fights coming up, mainly because Jack Hermansson was supposed to fight Darren Till, and that got swapped, and basically now we end up with a whole different fight against VETTORI, who some of you may know, some of you may not, but it might be an interesting fight. So, we'll see. But today we have Matt Turnbull. He recently fought with CFFC. He's a pro fighter out of Philadelphia. It was good to catch up with him about how it is fighting through this whole COVID thing. Everything's locked down in Philly. So it's definitely a challenging time for fighters, especially, local fighters in this area. So that's going to be great. And then I know Dan's pumped for this one because we talked to, is he a pizza celebrity now? I don't know. Dan, you can.
I don't know. Could be. I don't know. We're talking to Ben from Good Pizza here in Philly. He's he's a pizza celebrity here now. We'll see. He's got a great story, and he's giving back to a great charity, and we're going to explain more.
Yeah. He became very popular after Barstool. Portnoy did one of his pizza reviews on his pizza.
Did the review
that he hangs out of a second story, in Philly, and and has become
it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Dude, 2020 is it's great because it has just kind of opened up I don't know what you think, but it's kind of just opened it up to anybody. But it's opened it up to anybody, like anybody who has something good that they want to offer can and will probably make it, or make it out there. So
apparently his pizza is good, and he's giving back to a charity, which is a home run. So it has a good little ring to it, which is nice. Because this year is a bunch of shit.
And you'll see in the interview, but like I told him, I don't know if it's the same thing if he's handing the pizzas out the front door. So the rope and the box have a lot to do with it. But he explains to us that there is a lot more craft to making these pizzas than just what you see.
Oh yeah, we go into detail.
Instagram.
We go.
Yeah. You nerd, dude. You geeked out.
We're getting in there.
You geeked out. So Dan, UFC. I know you're not gonna watch this one. I know that's our common weekly conversation, but you're definitely not gonna watch this one. I'm gonna watch it. But I don't blame people like you. VETTORI has been calling people out on Instagram for a long time. And he basically had this whole thing where everybody's scared, nobody wants to fight him, and he can't get any contract signed for that reason. I got to know him a little bit more in that sense, and I was like, are people really not signing anything with him? Or is it just that this is the way he's trying to get attention? I don't know. Point being is that with all these swaps, it ended up working out because this fight was supposed to be a title contender for him for Hermansson and Till. So the fact that he's slipping in there, if this is a great performance for him or for Hermansson, if he has a great performance, it leaves him where he kind of is. But if VETTORI has a great performance, I think it gets him where he wanted to be. And no longer will he fight anybody who's not known. His biggest name he's fought is Izzy at Asanya, and some say that he got some numbers on him. So,
well, what's his record now again?
Who's that? VETTORI?
Yeah.
He's 15-4, and Hermansson's 21-5. Listen, these aren't pristine records. I don't think it matters. I think these are badass fighters who are going to come together, and it should be an exciting fight.
So that should still make it good then. I mean, just because they're not a knockout crew, or the records aren't wild, you could see fireworks though. This thing could be a big deal. You could see some fun stuff. So,
well, one of the best fighters out there is Kevin Gastelum. He's fought the best, and he fought Hermansson recently in what was supposed to be Kevin Gastelum coming back and getting back into that top winner circle kind of thing, and Hermansson made him tap out. So.
Okay.
Hermansson's on a good uptick. So we'll see what it has to do. Well, what this fight does. I'm not even going to talk about the undercard for this one.
Not worth it. Damn.
But what we can talk about is Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. Not because it was a huge competitive event, but because I know you watched it. So what did you think about it?
I mean, look, I was excited for this thing, and first of all, the overarching theme here is that they, for a lot of people that have grown up watching Tyson or have watching boxing back in the day, they know these guys. They know the caliber of these guys. And just for them to be out there at that age is awesome. You know, for the most part, they looked in great shape. I think Tyson was in better shape, you know, personally. I think he was in better shape.
Yep.
And I thought he showed more of a nostalgic fight style to him, where you got to see those big hooks that he was throwing in, and you kind of saw those little.
Yeah.
The movement was back, and he says he wants to keep doing it. Whatever, we'll see. I mean, I know they got paid.
I don't mind seeing them done again with some of these big, you know, the Holyfield. You know, Holyfield immediately was like, "Hey, I'm right here. Let's do it." Of course. You know, these guys must have gotten paid so much, but I think there is a place.
How old's Holyfield though? Holyfield is
might be the same age or younger.
58. He's 58.
He's 58, but he looks good. Have you seen him? He looks better than all these guys.
No, I have not. So he might be a little leaner and a little faster.
He hasn't stopped looking good. That's the thing. Tyson gained 100. Dude, Tyson gained 100 pounds. Tyson lost 100 pounds for this fight. Not for this fight, you know, but he started losing and got healthy and wanted to fight because he got healthy. But Holyfield has remained, you know, a very
that could be a big
athlete.
one. And you know what? They're going to monetize the living shit out of that.
Yeah. And then you bite Tyson's ear in this one. I'm just saying, it's a possibility.
They would, and then if you keep going with that, they're going to make a fortune. But no, but overall, I mean, it's good. I mean,
I'll tell you something, dude. So it was an entertainment event, right? It wasn't really like a big fight night.
Oh yeah, really. You don't say the Jakepaul, Nate Robinson shenanigans in the fucking beginning.
Well, not even that. Like, well, first of all, to geek out on the technology, like they, I think, look better than any other boxing match that has. Well, not only that has taken place during COVID, but that has taken place in a long time. Like, I thought it looked cool, man. Like the lighting, the color of everything.
Yeah, no,
the screens behind. Like, they didn't try to pretend they had an audience. They were like, no, we're gonna use the graphics. Like, so I was actually very impressed by that. I thought they looked phenomenal. I thought the area where the commentator sat with like the matte black with like the weird angles, that looked cool.
Oh, and still, wait. Well, how did we just fucking move past Snoop Dogg? Like that wasn't.
No. Well, of course we're gonna get there. So that's where I'm going.
That was amazing.
Well, so first of all, I was excited to see Stylebender, which we've talked about him already several times on the show. He was a commentator on this, so it was cool to see them, you know, boxing using MMA as a way to bring an audience. So they took a champion from the UFC, put him in there to talk with a legend of a boxer in Sugar Ray Leonard, and then put him against obviously a mega pro with Morrow. So the commentators look great, they sound great, it makes it feel legit, and then comes Snoop Dogg and just takes over the show. Am I wrong?
Yeah, and he's not even allowed. He doesn't have a voice, or he's not very vocal. You know, he talks, but he's not a loud guy.
Yeah.
You know,
but he was funny.
He chills. He's funny as hell.
Yeah, it was funny. So yeah, Jakepaul. What did you think about that?
Oh my God! I mean, there was a lot of hype. I mean, it's kind of interesting because at first, you know, you're like, oh, these two major boxing stars, right? But then you're like, who gives a shit about Jakepaul and Nate Robinson?
A lot of basketball players did. They cared. They thought their guy was gonna, you know, represent the NBA.
I mean, he looked sharp. You know, he looked strong. He looked lean in shape.
I heard
he got his ass kicked though.
I heard he didn't spar in training, which is, I mean, that I want to say that can't be true. I want to say that can't be true, because if it is true, it's dumb. Because are you gonna wait to be in front of that many people watching Tyson and Roy Jones to feel what it's like to get into a fight in the middle of a ring you know?
Well, I mean, he
not a great
learned
idea.
his lesson, that's for sure. Shit, look,
he looked bad. He looked bad.
Beat up. He was beat up.
He's a you know, I kept on telling my son, we were watching it, I'm like,
pro athlete.
Jake, correct. I'm like, Jakepaul, he takes it serious. He looks pretty good. You know, you can see people who like say they can fight and and then they look bad. Jakepaul looks good. He's Jakepaul. 2 fights. He's not a professional fighter. But
no, he's not. But I think he took it way more seriously.
He's a professional athlete. These are people who have been training, their whole lives for a sport, who know what it's like to face competition. They know what it's like to take things serious. They know what it's like to be healthy, to be in shape.
They know how to get into the mindset.
I cannot believe how bad he looked. I mean,
it's insanity.
He was rushing him. Like, I felt bad. I really felt bad. And I know it was a matter of time.
Big hits.
He was getting caught with like these nasty. And by the way, credit to Jakepaul, because now, Dan, I know you had some fights back in your day, not at a pro level, but when somebody's coming at you, right, swinging, like for you to keep composure and throw an uppercut, or for you to keep composure and sidestep and then jab, or throw a jab to the body, like those are all things that you have to give Jakepaul credit to. Can he compete against these people he's calling out? I don't think so. It's fun for people to say that he can.
But who's next for him? Like, is he?
It's got to be a pro. It's got to be a pro. I think he's like 23 or 24, and he has 2 fights only. He has to fight.
Yeah, no, seriously.
A professional fighter. He cannot fight any more YouTube stars. He cannot fight any more athletes. He cannot jump in and take a Dylan Dennis or like a Conor McGregor. Like, get out of here. But what he can do is fight a guy who maybe has an undefeated record, but is starting out maybe like a 10-0, or a 6-0, a 5-0.
They have to be some sort of a celebrity, just like literally, here's just a boring boxer though that is just good, but you've never heard of him.
Well, it depends. So what's the move, right? Does he want to be a legit fighter for his career? Because he's also a rapper and a YouTube star. Not. So probably not. But if he says he does, if he does want to, the next step is fight a legit boxer, fight another legit boxer, fight another, and maybe when you have 10 fights under you, call out all these other pro fighters, and because you're a star and you bring in the viewers, perfect. Then you're gonna have everybody's respect. But if you keep on doing celebrity fights, you'll never be taken serious. So and he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. He can keep on having fun. Why not?
He's feeling good, right? He's probably feeling good right now because his celebrity fight was with an athlete, and he could say that
baby steps.
It was a celebrity fight, but at least it was like a pro athlete, and I kicked a pro athlete's ass. And I think that's what he's riding on.
And embarrassed him.
And embarrassed him. He was on me. He was meme city.
By the way, how cool is it that so you're a YouTube guy, right? But how cool is it that on a night where 2 legends fight each other, and a lot of people in the world are watching, even though it might not be a legit fight, your fight is the one that most people are talking about afterwards. You know what I'm saying? And like in social media, that's the knockout that you're seeing constantly. Like, that's cool. That's exciting for him. So I don't know, man. It was an interesting night. A lot of hip hop performances that were decent too. Not bad.
Yep.
Ready.
All right. Well, let's get some interviews going.
Yeah, man. So this is Matt Turnbull, pro MMA fighter out of Philly. Good interview, man.
I don't know what's going on with the lockdown now. I don't think they're letting anything happen. So yeah, as soon as this bullshit's done with and COVID's, in the past, I'm ready to take on another fight. I don't care who it's for. I just need to get back in there and get back to work.
It's really messed up so much, this whole COVID thing, right, man? Like, especially with you guys. Like, I feel bad because training, I'm sure it's difficult enough with this stuff and what's closed and what's open. But just booking the fights, and I'm sure once you even book a fight, what can happen between the fight and then, cancellations and stuff like that. I mean, you're seeing it in the UFC where these big fights are just dropping left and right.
It's a little frustrating. I know it's opened up opportunities for a lot of people. Like 2 of my teammates, Chris and Kyle, they got signed during quarantine, so it was almost like COVID is what got them into the UFC, unfortunately. But for others, like on the local scene, there's no fights going on at all. I was supposed to fight for Art of War, I guess it was like 6 months ago, and that got canceled. And I'm just sitting around not thinking of, not knowing when I'm going to fight next or when the next promotion is going to open back up. And then finally, CFFC, they start putting on some shows with either the first couple shows were no fans at all, and then the show I fought on, I think it was like 100 fans. They let in 100 fans or something crazy like that, you know?
Yeah.
So it's rough, but just got to get through it for now.
So
is
how
it
do you
hard
keep
to train? Like, is it hard to keep your motivation, momentum when there's during COVID, like while there's gaps?
Yeah, because, Philly right now, we're shut down completely. They just shut down bars, restaurants,
Yeah, everything.
gyms again. So it's like we're back at square one until I think the 1st. January 1st, I think they're allowed to open back up. But
Yeah.
so being shut down again and not being able to train is rough, but
right?
you just got to do what you got to do.
So you train your coaches are Kyle and Chris, or you train with them?
They're the striking coaches at Martinez BJJ.
Okay.
And they run some MMA classes as well.
Kyle looked really good, I thought, in his last performance in UFC. I thought he was sharp.
Even
man.
his first fight, he lost when he fought Brendan Allen. He lost, but I think if had it not been for that main event, Kyle's fight would have been fight of the night because that fight was crazy. It was
Yeah,
back and forth,
and the
he
hooker
didn't get the win, but it was hell of a debut.
that hooker and Poirier fight was kind of insane. It was a really good fight. So
yeah,
that's a lot to compete with.
That one.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, I mean, we can talk about Kyle real quick, only just because I'm curious. I thought, like, he looks like a really big dude for the weight class that he's in. And, he has that length, which is kind of nice. But his striking is like, it was like a small guy striking. You know what I mean? Like, he was very fast, I thought, and very accurate. Is that something that you guys just really train hard?
Everyone thinks he's a grappler. Like he's got a bunch of submissions, but all those submissions he's got because, especially back in the CFC, he would hurt the guy that would shoot on him, give his neck, and then his darts choke. But he's a striker. He's been teaching striking at Martinez for, I guess, the past 5 years. Been my striking coach. So people don't know he's a striker. Like he's happened to get submission wins, but he's a striker. One of the best strikers I've ever sparred with.
And now Chris has the Olenek fight coming up.
Yeah.
I saw.
Oh yeah, he just signed that fight. That was just announced.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Do you watch a lot of fights, or I know I talked to some fighters and they're like, they don't stay up to date too much with what's going on. Do you tune in every weekend or?
Nah, there's just too many. Sometimes there's one. It was like during the first quarantine, it was like 2 or 3 shows a weekend.
A week.
It's too much. I watch the big fights. Yeah. I watch the big fights, but I don't really watch. I can't. There's no way I can watch every card. It's just too many.
I'm assuming you're not watching this weekend. This weekend's a shit fest, man. It has been so all over the place. Jack Hermansson fighting VETTORI this weekend. He was supposed to fight Darren Till.
Watching that.
Yeah, dude, the whole card. I mean, not to the card is weak. He was supposed to fight Darren Till, which would have been a fight to watch, and then it just kept on dropping in quality. Yeah, and then now
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be. What happened with Darren? You get pulled out?
I think he got injured. And then he was gonna fight. I forget who he was gonna fight after that, but then that was COVID. That canceled that, and then now he's fighting VETTORI, who was supposed to fight I think the next weekend, and so they swapped them. And VETTORI is like somebody who's been calling out everybody for a while, and then his big name that he's fought is Izzy Adesanya, so he has that to kind of hang his name on. But I don't know.
Yeah. Probably not gonna be watching that card.
Yeah,
I'll see the highlights. I'll watch the highlights,
exactly.
But I don't think I'll be tuning in.
Did you watch the Tyson Roy Jones fight?
Fuck no, I didn't watch that fight.
You didn't watch it?
I wasn't paying for that. No, I wasn't paying for an exhibition fight. Out of your mind.
I watched it. I did, but I watch every fight. Literally every single fight. Whether the amount of attention I give it is actually what changes. Because the big fights I sit down and watch. The other fights are just there, and it's more about we're eating, we're snacking, we're doing whatever. But
right.
I had it on there. I wasn't expecting on a fight side. I wasn't expecting anything at all for the whole night. And I was reading the performances in between. I'm like, this is a musical performance show,
Right.
But
it's crazy.
But anyway, I was just curious what you thought about it. But then I thought it looked great. That was the one thing. It's like all these other promotions. My background was always in boxing. Watching boxing and all this stuff. And then I slowly got into MMA when boxing kind of started dying off a little bit. But I think it's the exciting part of everything was that I thought it got a lot of eyeballs and the production looked really good. So it helps boxing, you know. But
And I saw some of the I saw some clips of the fight. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did see some clips on Twitter and Instagram and shit. And
Yeah.
honestly, they look pretty good for, you know, however old they are and out of shape they might be.
Dude, I
54
love
and 50 or
54
Is
and
it
51, I think, or
54?
something like that.
That's
Yeah.
50, 54
That was the
Tyson.
first fight that I watched where I felt really good about myself because I'm like, you know, body types, dude. I can fit right in there. I'm good to go. I got this. No, but they
They didn't cut much weight.
They didn't cut shit. I thought Tyson actually Tyson looked really good on because he comes from he was in really bad shape. Nobody expected him to ever fight again, but I thought he looked physically and stamina wise pretty damn good compared to Roy Jones, who I expected to be the one that would come with that. But not much to talk about there except for that it was actually a very well put together event, and they didn't look horrible, so it wasn't embarrassing. I was worried about that. That
What were the rules? They couldn't knock each other out or some shit like that. Wasn't there some weird rules?
Cuts too or
There-
something? I think it was like a
there-
cut rule.
Oh yeah,
they
if they
had
cut, they had stopped it, right?
Yeah.
like
They
that.
had so many rules to protect the old men. You know, I think they were sponsored by ARP or something. But no, but they had a ton of rules, which made it super stupid to even want to watch. But ultimately, what made it kind of decent was the fact that they cut the rounds down to 2 minutes. So
Right. So
it moved so quick. It was actually entertaining to watch because by the time they did anything, it was like, all right, back to the corner. So it didn't let them get tired or anything. So
It looked like it was as good as it could be. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
we'll
so
see
who
boxing stuff in there.
So who are you who in the UFC or Bellator or whatever? Who are you watching? Who do you care about? What's the big fights that you look forward to?
I try to watch all the little guys. Anyone under 155. I try to watch all those fights if I can. All the big fights. Who did Brandon Moreno just fought? I thought.
Yeah,
I've been watching him for a while. I think, did he get cut or some shit? Am I making that up? Did he get cut before?
No. In this last fight? Oh, you cut from the UFC?
Yeah. Didn't they cut
I don't
him and
know.
bring him back?
I don't know. I didn't know much about
I
him.
think they let him go when they were talking about shutting down the flyweight division. I think they might have let him go, but I always watch. Ever since he got in the UFC, he's one of my favorite fighters. He's crazy.
But now he's
Crazy
going for
scrappy.
the belt, right?
I think so. Yeah.
That's his next fight. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because they fought on the same card, and they both look good. So then they're like, all right, well, let's just match them up. I think they said it that night of let's book them together, and then that happens. So that's a pretty huge.
Yeah.
And the
I
other
like,
guy,
yeah, I like watching all those little guys.
it's exciting because you don't typically see too many big knockouts, or for people who don't watch it that often, they don't get to see that. But the level of skill and speed and accuracy and technique, those are the weight classes. To really
Us little guys,
pay
we don't
attention
get
to.
enough
Did
respect.
you grow up wrestling or anything, or how did you get into fighting?
I wrestled, I think my sophomore year in high school, but my wrestling coach wasn't a wrestler. He was a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, and we just needed a coach that was like, all right, you're gonna teach the wrestling program, and then he got me into jiu-jitsu, and then naturally I found my way to striking and MMA.
Well, that's
Yeah, it's always interesting. I'm always trying to figure out how different individuals get into it. MMA, are they ex wrestlers, or are they boxers? What's the universal background, or is there not one? Is
I
it
think
just
that's what makes
literally a mix of crap?
Had you asked me in, let's say, before high school, what if I'd be a fighter, I would have said no. I just kind of happened to stumble upon it. I just took the ball and ran with it once I started training and got the feel for it. I was training for 6 months. Before I was at Martinez, I was at this other gym, and they threw me in the cage after 6 months, and then I just haven't stopped fighting since I turned 18. So
How exciting or scary was that first time you got locked in the cage?
yeah, it was one of the scariest experiences of my life.
I bet.
Still in high school, I'm getting thrown into the cage with 6 months of experience, and it was crazy. I got my ass kicked.
But how cool did you feel
Obviously.
going back to school and knowing that you did that? Didn't that give you a nice feeling?
Oh, it was cool shit. My eye was all fucked up, just cut open, and it was aired on
Where was
TV,
he?
so everyone.
Where was this fucking guy?
So it was actually aired on TV. Oh, I forget what station it was, but they aired it on TV, so everyone thought I was the coolest person that month.
Damn, all right.
And then they forgot about it, and I wasn't cool no more.
You're doing it again, man. Yeah, I boxed for a short amount of time towards the end of high school, and then a little bit after that. And I always loved having that kind of like thing. I used to box at Joe Frazier's back in the day. And like going to school, like I used to do co-op, so like I would get out early just to go box. And then just going back to school and knowing what you did like over there, it was always such a good feeling like that you would carry with you. And it didn't hurt to have. No, I trained, and I became the sparring partner of the gym for a couple of years.
Right.
So they would, they would, every single day they would, get your headgear on. Okay, all right, here comes the headaches. And I was just, they would throw me in. But like, actually, I got hit the hardest by like a 13-year-old kid who was like Mike Tyson in his prime. I remember seeing some starts when I got cracked really good. But I just did that a bunch.
By some of the teams too.
What's that?
I think we've all been beaten up by the kids in the teens program and everything.
Yeah, they would be like, oh, this guy has a. They would tell me like, oh, this guy has a fight this weekend on like, whatever it was at that time, like ESPN or something, one of these fight nights. All right, but that wasn't that bad because they're better than you, so they know how to spar, in a way where you're not really getting hurt or anything, but you're giving them the work.
Yeah, of course.
And then they would put you in against a kid who didn't know how to control himself, and then you would see some stars. So no fun.
Exactly how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I went to California to get into this whole film stuff, I trained at Wildcard for like a couple months. Not with Freddie Roach or anybody like that, but I was at the gym training there. With Mario Lopez used to train there every single day. And I remember being like, all right, I think I'm done. Like the love for everything is gonna remain.
Party's over.
Yeah, I'm gonna go film some stuff and let these guys do the work. This is their life, not mine. But anyway, that was my background. But all right, dude. I appreciate you being on the show, man. It's awesome to have you. Anytime you want to come back on, we're here to support you. And so, whenever you have a fight coming up, please let us know so we can get you back in here before, you guys get a little cranky towards that last week or two of training. So I try
cranky.
Yeah,
cranky.
When you're not eating or
all starved and dehydrated.
I remember, I forget who it was who told me like, yeah, don't talk to him this week because he's in like kill mode and he's not. I'm like, gotcha. No, I know. I got it. So let us know in advance. All right, dude. It's been a pleasure, man. That guy's awesome, man. I love that we have fighters like that out of Philly to kind of represent us and go out there. I think he has a bright MMA future ahead of him. But now it's your guy, man. We're talking pizza.
Yep. We got Ben from Good Pizza.
Here it is. I don't think anybody who's on Instagram could have missed, in this area especially, could have missed how you went from like an operation to like known everywhere. And it was super cool. I think I shared it immediately with my wife when it came out on Barstool. I'm like, of all the pizza reviews, this is a good one. Like, check this out. This is awesome. So, so dude, tell me how this whole thing started. Like, how far back does this all go? And
sure, yeah. I appreciate all of that. First of all, I appreciate you calling it an operation before the review. I'm not sure I would even have called it an operation before the review. So let me go all the way back. I'm a student in Philadelphia, so it's my adopted home for a few years, and I've absolutely loved being there. I didn't expect to love Philadelphia as much as I do. And I'm in business school now, which means I had a job before, and I was traveling a lot for work. One of the things that I missed when I was on the road 140 nights in a hotel every year was just cooking at home. Food's always been a big part of my life. We can talk about what that means, but I wanted to connect people through food again. I wanted to cook. I wanted to be home and sleep in my own bed and cook my own dinner. And I was looking forward to that as part of the school experience. So when I moved to Philadelphia, I started cooking a lot more. And one of the things I wanted to try was homemade pizza. I spent too much money on pizza equipment without having any business doing it. And it wasn't for anything. I just wanted to make pizza and have friends over and see what would happen with it. Okay. So this started basically fall of 2019, starting just to make pizza for friends and slowly realizing that this is decent. Like, I think I actually have a knack for this, and this is a lot of fun for me. So fast forward to March, COVID hits, and I had a big batch of dough that I was supposed to have friends over for. And it was becoming increasingly apparent that it was a bad idea to have friends over for a dinner party. So I ordered a bunch of string on Amazon and put pizza in a plastic bag and lowered it to my friends on the street. Everyone thought it was cool and started taking Instagram photos of it. So I realized I had something that people would be interested in, and then it just sort of grew from there. Where over the summer I started to do it, built an Instagram profile, started doing it with just friends who would come over and pick it up at the bottom of my apartment, but people on the street would see it and yell up, "What is that? How do we get in on that? Can we get some pizza?" And slowly this followership started to develop. And then the Barstool review happened, and basically everything changed.
Yeah, man, that thing hit you fast. You know, your followers just went, skyrocketing. You know, you're getting press everywhere. You know, Philly is known, especially before COVID, is known for its food in a lot of ways, and pizza is definitely part of that. You're, in my opinion, right there, right now amongst all these other big people. How does it feel to jump into that scene so quickly?
Yeah, it feels crazy. I did have an experience before where I ran a food truck up here in Portland, Maine. So I kind of knew what that restaurant scene looked like, and I knew what it felt like to get some small buzz for your food. But if I think about the restaurants that I love in Philadelphia, I don't consider myself playing in that field with those chefs. There's so much good food, and there was an Inquirer headline that said Philadelphia's buzziest pizza operation. It's just not how I imagined myself at all.
But the thing is that when you do something that's outside of the mold, it gets you that attention. And these days, whatever you see on Instagram that looks delicious and that looks good,
totally.
And that's unique in the way you get it, or in the way that's what's considered hot in the moment. So whether it is because that you can't get a pizza at Angelo, like you have to make a line, all that stuff, we know that's what creates the buzz and what makes it actually that much more exciting to go get. So that's why I say you're competing there, because it's so unique. So what are you doing right now? So pizza outside, you're still in school?
I'm still in school. That's right. I graduated in May.
Okay. My first question is, so now that you have this pizza celebrity, are you going to use all this, this education and all this stuff that from business, and are you applying it to the pizza world as soon as you're done?
Oh, I'm absolutely applying it now. I think to your point from before about what made people interested in it, I think there were three things, right? I do think the pizza is really good, and I'm excited for people to try it. I'm really proud of it, and I want to make it for as many people as possible. That was one. Number two is there's a fun scarcity piece to it, and that's something that we study at school, is how scarcity can create a buzz around a product. And I'm only doing it because I have legitimate constraints. This wasn't a supreme type of merch drop where I was trying to make it scarce for folks. I just could only make 20 pizzas in my oven before my smoke alarm starts going crazy, and so that's my constraint. So that's number two. Number three is the focus of this at the end of the day is to support nonprofits that I think are good in the area. And this is just my vehicle for being able to amplify my own giving. So the true impetus for all of this was I can either give $100 to a hunger relief organization that I care about, or I can spend $100 on pizza ingredients. I can have a bunch of fun making pizza for people. I can make them smile with a few slices of pie, and hopefully they can donate money instead so that I can amplify the impact of my dollars. And so those are all things that I've sort of thought about at school. They're also, I think, some of the reasons that people are excited by the idea as well.
Yeah, and I can't say I didn't have this thought. My first question was like, all right, so he's donating every cent, which a lot of people say they do, but I believe you. I think it's legit, right? So you're doing that. And then, all right, so how are you paying to do all this stuff? Or not how are you paying for it, but why are you willing to pay for all this stuff just to give it away? But you made a great point, which is, well, the amount of money that I spend compared, in donation compared to the amount of money and reach that this has given you, it makes perfect sense. So what are the type of...
I'm trying to be as transparent as possible with where the giving goes and the fact that we really are donating every single penny that comes in. And, for now, it's just been the ingredients have been out of pocket for me, and that's my contribution to the cause. Now, after the review and after the followership started to grow, there's been some really nice businesses and folks in the area who've been willing to support as well. So places like the Bruno's that said, come in, your cheese is on us this time. That stuff really helps because that makes it a little bit easier to increase my quantity and still donate every single penny that comes in.
And you got the good stuff too.
Oh, he's there. Look at him. All right, so let me see if I have any other questions before we get deep into pizza baking. So do you watch any? Let's since this is Cageside, I gotta do you watch any fighting at all?
I don't watch
You
any
can
fighting
you
at
can
all.
say no. All right, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
That's perfectly fine. Well, Philly is a big, fighting town. So,
Yeah.
it's all boxing and now MMA and all this stuff. So, we try to bring on local fighters who are like climbing up and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But a big part of fighting is when you're watching it, people like me who, look forward to the weekends for this reason. What do you eat? What do you drink? How do you celebrate the occasion? So, in your opinion, what's the best pizza that one can make at home for a fight? Just to bridge things together.
Yeah. All right, so here's my pizza recommendation. If you're gonna make pizza at home and you're making it for a party or something, don't try to make thin crust pizza. It's so much easier to make pizza in a pan, and you can make really good, fluffier, almost Sicilian style or grandma style dough at home. And you're making these big trays of it, then you can just cut and leave out on a table so that you can watch the fight too. Because if you're trying to make a bunch of thin crust pies, you're gonna be stuck at the oven all night. You're not gonna get to have any of the fun. So my recommendation is make dough, like pump up the yeast in it a little bit, let it sit out in a tray, make 2 big trays of it that are 2 pounds of dough each. Everyone will be happy, and you still get to sit down with a beer.
See, I love that because
Right.
the times we've tried to make thin crust pizza, we get excited with the ingredients, and what we do is we make it too heavy, and then the edges are beautiful, but in order to get that middle
Yes.
secure,
Yes.
you burn the shit out of the top, so it doesn't work.
Yes,
You know?
totally.
All right, Dan, take it away. What questions you got?
So this is great. So I'm a big pizza nut as well. So just like you, I work from home too, and I took up pizza. First, I took up baking other stuff. First, it was like fancy desserts. That totally went to shit. Super annoying. I'm like, you know what? I don't care about fancy desserts. I don't even really eat desserts. I'm like, I like pizza. I'm like, let's do pizza. Obviously, a lot of people around the Philadelphia area were going crazy with pizza. I remember when we first started doing this, my fiance and I, we were looking for 00 flour everywhere. It was gone.
What's 00
Nowhere to be
flour?
found. Oh man, you go for it.
00 is just like the super fine Italian flour that they use in Neapolitan style pies. So if you go to a place like Nomad, which makes a really good one, VETTORI's sort of on the edge of this, but it's going to be that like super high temperature, really fluffy. It's supposed to be floppy. A lot of people will say like this needs to be more well done, but it's supposed to be like that. And they use a really fine, fancy Italian flour called 00, just the way that it's milled.
Okay.
What are
sorry.
you using for yours?
I'm just using King Arthur bread flour right now. I want to get
King Arthur's
as
great.
high protein content as I can, and that's the one that's most easily available for good bread flour that you can still find in the grocery store.
Yeah, they're really hard. I mean, a lot of the good flour, at least originally, was really tough to find. It was just like your Pillsbury, all-purpose, whatever you could find at the bottom. And I mean, you can utilize basically any flour and end up with a pizza.
Totally.
But the ingredients are really, what matters. And so I found the whole story interesting. I found the one part that I was like really interested in is how long you were proofing it for. I think it was like, 3 days. Are you running it?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And to people like
So
me,
I'm
what's
doing.
proofing?
So we can get we can nerd out on
We can get granular. Yeah.
Dude, geek out. It's just making me hungry. But go ahead.
So my personal belief is that the way to develop flavor, especially for home pizza, is to let your dough ferment, which is something that scares people, but it's actually a really simple process. And there's 2 fermentations that your dough can go through. There's a bulk ferment, which is all the dough together. And then there's like a proofing or like fermentation that happens once it's balled up into pizza doughs. And so you're playing around with the length of time that you're letting that dough ferment and the temperature at which it ferments, which is letting the yeast eat a little bit and activate, and it's just developing flavor. So you're actually getting some taste, often like a sourdough almost flavor in your crust. It's the same idea as if you're to build a starter. You're just letting that same sort of reaction happen inside your dough. So the things that I'm playing around with are my fermentation, how long I let it go and at what temperature, and then my hydration and salt levels. So
Are you
hydration
playing
level
with
in
ice,
pizza.
though?
I know I'm not.
Yeah, that's another rabbit hole.
Have you?
No, actually, I've tried it a few times because I was really, once you start getting into it, you start going down different little paths to try to perfect it. And I started taking temperature of the dough and trying to play with that. That's a whole thing. But I don't do 3 days. which I want to try. I want to try 3 days. Are you doing an electric stove or gas?
I'm doing it in a electric oven on a baking steel.
Yeah, a baking steel. Okay. I have the the ceramic.
Was it you that posted something about a baking steel?
Yeah, I love their product. I think it's awesome.
Okay, because I went down. You talk about
that.
rabbit holes. I went down that one and was like, oh, I need one of these. These are amazing. I don't know for what because I don't bake anything. But
so if you're gonna cook,
it looked
if you're
exciting.
gonna cook one pizza, I don't think there's a huge difference. But if you're gonna cook multiple pizzas,
Like sliding with
the steel just retains its heat so well, and it reheats itself so well. But I have a thermometer now to just one of those laser thermometer ones.
Yeah.
That thing will get much hotter than your oven, the steel, and it'll catch back up really quickly. The stone just drops its temperature more easily, and you've got to wait longer to get it back up to temp.
Yeah. My oven's electric too, and it's I've cooked in like gas ovens, and I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, wait till I get the hell out of here. I'm like, any shitty gas oven is just like so much better than, at least in my experimentations over the COVID, is so much better than electric, and it's amazing how you can knock it out there.
So
Totally.
once you're done with all your school and everything, which is when? How much longer do you have?
May. I graduate in May, yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Are we opening up a place in Philly? Or are we opening it at home? What's the future?
So the future is unknown right now. I've loved doing this. I have a job offer after school to go back to my consulting firm, and I like that job, and it provides me with a lot of benefits that I appreciate, to be totally honest. I want pizza to be part of my life because I love doing it. I don't know if that means this continues as a small nonprofit thing that's going on. I have this vision of Good Pizza being a platform that people use to do it on their own. And maybe it's not a single standing operation in Philadelphia, but it's a brand that people leverage all over the country to raise money for causes that they care about. For now, I'm just thankful for all the support that I'm getting. What I've been telling people is that what I did not expect and what I've been most thankful for so far is especially the Philadelphia community has just come out in droves just to lend their support and just to say, we needed this. Thank you for sharing this. Just that it made people smile, the review and following along on Instagram. For now, that's enough for me. And I just want to take that as long as I can.
That's awesome. I gotta say, there's something about the rope or whatever you use in the box coming down that makes that's the visual that makes it all exciting. If you were just like coming downstairs and handing it,
not the same.
I mean, it might taste
Maybe what
good,
you
but
do
I'm
when
not
you're
into
done,
it.
if you work from home in between calls,
That's
you're
right.
roping down pizza, you're roping down a pie, pulling up the money or whatever, and then
I think that's right.
Voila.
Yeah, it's been a blast. It's been a blast. I feel so lucky about so many things, not least of which is I happen to live on the second floor of an apartment on Sansom Street. There just aren't that many places that I could have lived and done the same thing.
Are you having people
exactly.
like just like lining up or waiting, like just looking up at your place, just waiting for a pizza drop, or?
It's been weird. It's been so
bet.
weird.
I bet.
I went to get coffee at Federal Donuts and I got recognized and had to take a picture with someone. It's like, I don't know what's happening here. This is bizarre.
You're PizzaFamous, man.
Accidentally, but I'll take it.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you being part of the show. It's great to know more about you and your whole thing. And we love anything that's exciting in Philly. And, throwing pizza out of windows is pretty fun.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. The truth is, any sort of press, any sort of followership right now helps me support the nonprofits that we care about. Truly, every Instagram follower means we have a few more opportunities to make more pizza and bring in a little bit more money. And we're raising a lot of money for Hunger Relief and some other great organizations in the Philly area. So thanks for letting me come on and tell this story. And I'll see if I can get my fighting knowledge up before we talk again, and we can jam on pizza anytime.
Listen, man, we can have you on weekly, and you can talk pizza, we can talk fighting. We'll figure it out.
it's true.
Sounds good.
All
I
right,
appreciate
man.
it, guys. All right,
Thank
have
you.
a good one.
Take care, man.
See ya.
All right, that's another episode of Cageside in the books, man. We will see you next week. See you guys.